order, and first item on this morning's agenda is the roll call.
Mr. Buckle? Present. Mrs. Eady?
Present.
Mr. Eagleson? Present. Mr. Ingles? Present. Ms. Jackson? Mr. McKeever? Present. Mr. Smith? Present. Warden Tulin?
Present. At this time, I would ask anybody from council to declare a pecuniary interest, either now if it arises down the agenda. Hearing none at this time. We have a couple delegations this morning, and I had the opportunity at the Northport Public School about a month ago to listen to 9 Bruce County speakers give their speeches, and I will tell you each and every one of them were deserving of being here today, and as is the case, you always have to choose a couple, and the 2 that rose to the top are here. First up, under the junior division, we have Caitlin Nickerson from Aaron Terra Elementary that is going to give a speech, and welcome. The podium is yours, and there's a little red button on, I guess, actually these young ladies don't even need to speak. They're going to come up here? Okay.
We're going to invite them to come here
okay.
so that they can share the live stream with all their family and friends to
Excellent.
watch them.
So welcome. Come on up here.
Could you please take a moment to close your eyes and imagine what it would feel like getting ready for school or work when you can't remember where you put your shoes. You don't know how to get to your job or what to do when you get there. Now and again, the fog will lift, and people with dementia can suddenly make sense of everything for a moment. But then the fog comes back down, and they feel lost again. And that's what my great grandma goes through every single day. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today to talk to you about Alzheimer's and dementia. Dementia is a condition where the brain is permanently damaged. It causes memory loss, confusion, forgetfulness, and they'll often relive the past. They'll get frustrated easily and may be aggressive. You'll need to keep a close eye on them because they tend to wander and get confused about what is theirs and what isn't. But you don't just wake up and suddenly can't remember anything. It happens over time. Some early signs of Alzheimer's are memory loss, challenge with daily tasks, difficulty with speaking or writing, misplacing things and not being able to retrace their steps, poor judgment, and changes in mood or personality. These early signs start happening because the connections in the cells in the brain are starting to be destroyed. They'll eventually die. In fact, if we look at Alzheimer's in the numbers, in 2011, there was 747,000 Canadians living with Alzheimer's. And if nothing changes by 2031, that number will increase to 1.4 million. And if you think of it, there's only about 35.16 million people in Canada, and 747,000 of them have Alzheimer's. An average day for someone suffering with Alzheimer's is 10 times harder than yours or mine. A hard day for me is when my teacher says, "Pop quiz." But can you imagine dealing with a constant buzzing in your ears, or getting frustrated with others because they're not seeing the things you are? To better understand this disease, P.K. Bevel, geriatric specialist, created an experiment to simulate what it feels like to have Alzheimer's. This experiment was performed by Blaine Wilson, whose mother has Alzheimer's. He wanted to see what she was going through. To do this, he put on goggles to simulate macular degeneration, glaucoma, and cataracts. He then put on latex gloves and taped his fingers to make them feel arthritic and clumsy. He also put the substance in his shoes to make them feel extremely uncomfortable. And finally, he wore headphones that played an excessive jabbering noise to simulate the buzzing. He was then given 5 tasks to do in 12 minutes. Some of the tasks he had to do were to find a tie in a pile of clothes, or clear the table in the dining room. Seems simple, right? After clearing the table, he couldn't find his way back to the kitchen. And after the experiment, he was visibly shaken. His words were scared and almost in a panic. Now, after doing this experiment, he knows what his mom is going through, and will be able to help her that much more. Along with scientists being able to simulate dementia, a lot is being done in the scientific and medical world to help try to understand this disease and help more people find a cure. The Alzheimer's Society plays a very important and helpful role with the patients and their caregivers. The Alzheimer's Society is a team of amazingly kind people who run education programs, support groups, and have a lot of great resources for the families. The Alzheimer's Society uses the Forget-Me-Not flower as a symbol to represent memory loss, which is one of the main symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. It is also a symbol to remember those who have Alzheimer's disease and other dementias and their caregivers. Angry, lonely, helpless, confused, worthless, and depressed. And they can change if we help make that change. Thank you.
Okay, so next up, we have Aubrey Erbschott, also of Aaron Terry Elementary School, who won the intermediate division. So welcome. Come on up to the front.
Ani Bojo, Aubrey Dishnakazian. I'm Indigenous and I'm a girl. This is my red dress, Nimiska Jigodet, Warden and members of the Bruce County Council. Today I'm about to enlighten you all about an issue that I find to be very concerning, because I'm Indigenous and because I'm a girl. An issue that has gained more attention since the recent federal election, and an issue I feel could stand to see more public awareness, which is why I chose to speak on it today. Any ideas? My speech today is dedicated to the many missing and murdered Indigenous women in Canada. In my culture, Anishinaabe women are respected for their spiritual and mental strengths. They are honored for their ability to care for and nurture others. They are givers of life. It is estimated that there has been over 1,200 missing and murdered Indigenous women in Canada. Most of these involve young women and girls. 17% were girls 18 years and younger. This is not only an issue that Indigenous communities face, but statistically, the disappearance or murder of a non-Native female attracts more attention than that of a Native female. I believe this is the real underlying issue. Therefore, many of these cases have gone unsolved and remain still to be a mystery for the loved ones who are left to mourn the victims. The Native Women's Association of Canada reports that most of these cases occurred in the Western provinces. The infamous highway, Highway 16, that runs through northern British Columbia, has been branded the Highway of Tears because of its history of murders and disappearances of Indigenous women. British Columbia police statistics have only recognized that 18 women have gone missing on this highway, 17 of them being First Nation. In actuality, this number is almost double. It is estimated that over 50 women have disappeared there. As mentioned, this issue has gained more attention since the most recent federal election. It has proven to be an issue of importance among First Nation communities. 3 out of 4 of the candidates had platforms supporting a national inquiry into the missing and murdered Indigenous women in Canada. It was the Liberal Party that had captured a majority of the votes in this election. The Liberal leader, Justin Trudeau, promised to launch an inquiry within the first 100 days of becoming Prime Minister during his campaign. Phase 1 of the inquiry was launched in December. This phase involved meeting with the families of the victims to get their input on how to further design an inquiry and what it needs to achieve. After talking with the families, they plan to consult with national Aboriginal organizations and a range of frontline service workers. The Liberal Party recognized that this kind of violence against Indigenous women is not just an Indigenous problem, and it is not just a women's issue. They described it to be a national tragedy that requires an urgent national response. Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould was quoted, "This inquiry must find the balance between learning from our past, honoring those who we've lost, reviewing our present, and making concrete, actionable recommendations for the future." The Liberal government had restored hope in Indigenous across Canada. October 4th is the National Day of Remembrance for our missing and murdered Indigenous women in Canada. And, in an attempt to bring even more attention to this day and the issue, Jamie Black, a Métis artist, created the Red Dress campaign. Hundreds of red dresses have been donated to an exhibit that has been displayed across Canada. It has been displayed at various universities and at the National Museum for Human Rights. Each red dress remembers a lost life, and the color red was chosen because it is a sacred color in my culture that the spirits can see. Black opened this project in hopes that the public will take action and join her every October 4th by displaying a red dress of their own. This is my red dress, Nimiska Jigodet. It is more than just a color. It represents the 1,200 missing and murdered Indigenous women in Canada. They are daughters, they are sisters, and they are mothers, and they have the right to live safely and be free of violence. Chiniwech, thank you.
Those were wonderful speeches, young ladies. That was, I give you a lot of courage for speaking about very difficult topics, so I commend you on your courage for that. Does anybody from council have any comments or questions? Anne?
Well, I'm a former teacher. I just thought the color would look so good on you.
Charlie, you better get
Not a typical hockey color, but I know
Has it been washed though? That's the key. Does it smell okay?
it's a pretty good shade.
Yeah, okay.
And you better be sorry.
Oh, all right.
He does actually.
Well, I must say that 22 seconds left in the third period, and I was at the game, and I thought, oh, I've got they've been wearing this sweater, and by golly, they didn't. It was quite a game, and I made the challenge, and so I will wear the sweater. Thanks, Dan.
Well, thank you. I didn't know how it would go over, Dave, but you were right. The series was excellent hockey, and I've been saying the junior C hockey. It was. I always felt it's a cleaner, faster hockey now. It's quite enjoyable. So I have to give congratulations to both teams. It was a great series.
Well, thank you. All right, next up is bylaws.
Seconded by Mr. Buckle, that the following bylaws be adopted. 2016-40, a bylaw to authorize the execution of all documents to effect the sale and transfer of the lands described as 268 Burford Street, Wyerton, Ontario, part of Park Lot 2, Plan 266, as in R2R80078, Part Lot 1, Concession 21, Amabel, Part 1 of 3R2049, South Bruce Peninsula, being all of PIN 331440211, from the Bruce Gray Child and Family Services to the County of Bruce. Bylaw 2016-41, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of County of Bruce at its meeting held the 14th day of April 2016.
Are there any discussions for either of those bylaws? Hearing none, all those in favor, opposed if any, that is carried. Thank you.
Moved by Mr. Ingles, seconded by Mr. Buckle, that we do now adjourn to meet again Thursday, May 5th, 2016 at 9:30 a.m.
All those in favor, opposed if any, that's carried. Thank you.
Aye.